Welcome back to the Eversio Experience podcast, where we explore healing, wellness, and the journey of becoming more conscious humans. Today's episode is a little different, and it's one we've been looking forward to.
For a long time on this podcast, we focus primarily on the science and benefits of functional mushrooms, which we love, and that is never going away. But the truth is, the heart of this show has always been something bigger than just mushrooms. It's about the human experience of health, the messy parts, the routines, the habits, the philosophies, and the things that we are learning in real time as we navigate life, wellness, and conscious business right alongside you.
Yeah, and we realized that the most powerful conversations aren't always the perfectly structured ones. Sometimes the most meaningful stuff comes from honest, behind the scenes conversation about how people actually live. So that's what today is, one of our unhinged episodes where we loosen the structure a little, step outside the usual format, and share more of the real human side of health and the experiences that shape us.
Because healing doesn't just come from information. It comes from connection, from storytelling, from learning through each other's experiences.
So settle in, fungi friends. There's a mushroom for every moment, including this one. Now let's dive in. Hey, fungi friends. Welcome back to the Eversio Experience. I'm Brandi.
And I'm Dr. Desiree Caruso. We are so glad that you showed up for this one.
Yeah, today we are talking about something that has been on our minds since really before this podcast even existed, I think. It's something that probably affects every single person who has ever walked into a health food store, picked up a mushroom supplement, paid real live money for it, taken it every single day, and then felt absolutely nothing.
And if it's happened to you like it's happened to us, this episode is going to explain exactly why.
Yeah. So if you've never tried a mushroom supplement, but you're curious, then this episode is going to make sure that when you do, you actually get what you think you are paying for.
And by the end of this conversation, you're going to understand what the three main categories of mushroom products actually are, why most of what's on the market falls into the category that's least likely to work, how to read a label so you know exactly what you're looking at, and what the research actually says versus what the marketing implies.
So sad that those are two different things. I'm going to also share a story that I've actually never told on this podcast before, and it's a little embarrassing. It's very real, and it's the reason that Eversio exists the way that it does today.
Let's get into it.
Okay. So the story. Let's always start with a story. It's just, we're humans. We love a story. So before we started Eversio, I was that person who had done her research on lion's mane. I was the nerd in my office at midnight that couldn't stop reading. I had read about it. I understood the premise, I will say. Cognitive support, neuroprotection, focus, and I was completely sold on the concept. And then I went out and I bought a supplement. It said lion's mane on the outside of the white plastic bottle. It came from a well-known retailer. The packaging looked professional enough to me. The label said lion's mane mushroom. It cost what a good supplement costs, and I felt good about buying it. It was an act of self-love, and I took it every single morning. It was super consistent, and the weeks went by, and I felt absolutely nothing. And that was the beginning of this journey, because at first I assumed that the problem was me. Right? Maybe I need to take more of it. Maybe I need to be more patient. Maybe lion's mane isn't as amazing as I thought it was. Maybe it's not going to work for my body. But something in me felt off. So I kept reading the research. And then one day I went back to the label and I started realizing how mushroom supplements are actually made. And what I found horrified me, because what was in those capsules that I was first taking was not really lion's mane mushroom in any meaningful sense. It was mycelium, the fungal root network that had been grown on rice, brown rice. And I will give it to the brand, organic brown rice, but still rice. When they harvest it in this type of growing mechanism, the mycelium and the rice come out as one inseparable mass. And then that mass gets dried, it gets turned into powder, and then it gets put in a capsule. And then it gets a mushroom put on the front of the bottle, and it's not mushrooms. It is mycelium, the root system, on grain. And I was paying premium supplement prices for very expensive rice. Essentially, that's what it was. And that's what I was taking every single morning without even knowing it. And I felt
Mhm.
duped.
And every time I hear this story, what strikes me is that Brandy did everything right as a consumer. She did her own research. She went to a reputable brand. She chose something that said mushroom on the label. She took it consistently. That system failed her, not the other way around.
Yeah, I get goosebumps just hearing you say it. But I'm grateful for it. What made me so angry about it in the moment, past me, who used to get angry, was part of what built this company. Like, had I not experienced it, we wouldn't be sitting here today because we knew in the moment that firsthand feeling of how it feels to be misled by the very industry that I believed in for my healing. We were just not willing to do that to anybody else. I didn't want anyone else to experience what I had. So today, right here, we're going to pull back the curtain all the way. We're going in.
Okay, let's walk through how the mushroom supplement landscape actually works. Because once you understand the structure, then everything else starts to make sense. There are three meaningfully different categories of mushroom products on the market in the mushroom space. Most people have no idea these categories even exist. They just think it's mushrooms.
Yeah.
And most people definitely don't know which one they're buying. Category one, fruiting body extracts. That's us. The fruiting body is the actual mushroom. So it's the part that you would recognize if you found one in the wild or if you found one in the grocery store. The cap, the stem, the visible structure. That is the reproductive body of the fungal organism. And it's the part that's been used in traditional medicine for hundreds of years. So in lion's mane specifically, the fruiting body contains compounds like haricinones. These are aromatic compounds that have been studied extensively for their role in stimulating nerve growth factor synthesis in the brain. Nerve growth factor, or NGF, is a protein essential to the growth, the maintenance, and the survival of neurons, particularly in regions of the brain connected to memory and learning and cognitive function.
Those are my favorite three things: memory, learning, and cognitive function. That's all I need. And when I hear about lion's mane supporting focus and brain clarity and this cognitive protection, the research behind those claims is built primarily on the fruiting body, on the haricinones. It's built on what we have been looking at for hundreds of years as a humanity and all of the good research.
Totally. And the bulk of published, peer-reviewed, independently conducted research on lion's mane, as well as turkey tail and reishi and chaga and other functional mushrooms, has been conducted using fruiting body extracts. This is the category with the deepest and the most established scientific track record. It's also the category that traditional medicine systems in Asia were using when functional mushrooms became part of health practice centuries ago. And so this is why we are in this category. And we'll come back to exactly what that means for how we make our products. But fruiting body extracts has roots in traditional medicine.
Yeah. Okay. So that's category one. Category two, then, let's talk about something that is wildly unknown in this space, and it's pure mycelium. So I'm talking about mycelium, that root structure with no grain.
Yeah, no grain. So it's a distinct and it is a scientifically interesting category that is worth understanding, even though it is different from what we do. Mycelium is the underground root-like network that the mushroom grows from. It spreads through soil or wood. It's absorbing nutrients and forms the foundation of the fungal organism. Mycelium contains different bioactive compounds than the fruiting body, and in lion's mane specifically, the mycelium contains compounds called erinacines. Erinacines are a group of xanthine diterpenoids found exclusively in the mycelium. It's not in the fruiting body at all. Research suggests they can cross the blood-brain barrier and also stimulate nerve growth factor synthesis, but it's through a different mechanism than haricinones that can also cross the blood-brain barrier, but from the fruiting body. So there's clinical published research, including a year-long double-blind randomized placebo-controlled trial published in the Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience in 2020. And they were examining erinacine A enriched mycelium, and these were in people with mild Alzheimer's symptoms. That study found statistically significant improvements in cognitive assessment scores in the intervention group. So this is real science, but it is pure, standardized mycelium with verified levels of specific compounds. That is the legitimate area of research.
Yeah. And that's the key word right there: pure. and standardized as well. And we'll come back to why those words matter so much in a moment, because category 2 and category 3 sound similar on the surface. And people that are in marketing know that they do, but they are actually completely different things.
Okay, so category 3, it's mycelium on grain. Category 2 is pure mycelium with no grain. Category 3 is mycelium on grain. It's often abbreviated to MOG, MOG, mycelium on grain. It also appears on labels as mycelium biomass or mycelial biomass, myceliated grain, or sometimes it could just be mushroom with nothing further specified. And that is where the problem lives. And that's where most of the market lives, unfortunately.
Yeah. And let's just explain why that actually is. So, a company takes a grain. So, it's usually oats or rice, but we have a big, famous, long-standing company here in Canada that's been around about 25 years that's using sorghum or millet. They don't put it on their label, so you won't find it there to know who they are, but we know who they are. They inoculate that grain, whatever they're using, with mushroom spores. And that literally the spores will be suspended in kind of a nutrient broth of some sort, and they will like inject these mushroom spores into the grain. And then that spore is what sprouts or births the mycelium. And the mycelium grows through and colonizes the grain over several weeks or several months, even depending on the species. And then at the end of that process, that company will harvest the whole thing. And these are being grown indoors, usually on shelves or racks. And there's artificial light, there's artificial air. The air is being controlled in that environment. This grain is in a plastic bag, is inoculated, sealed in the plastic bag, is growing in there with the humidity that's just right. And then once it's dried, that's also being done artificially. It's not being dried in the sun like it would be in nature. And then that's where you have this mycelium and grain together at the end of the growing process. And then here is the part that changes everything. When the process is complete, you cannot separate the mycelium from the grain it grew on. The mycelium was just so entangled with the grain that it becomes one mass. It would be impossible to pull these little filaments of mycelium out of them. So you have one thing. They are physically and chemically inseparable. The mycelium has broken down some of the grain, gone through the grain, around the grain, and you just can't pull it apart. So when you dry and grind that material into a powder, what you get is a combination of fungal material. Yes, you get this dried mycelium that's in there, but a very significant amount of grain starch. So independent testing of these products has found the grain starch content ranging from 35 to, we've heard cases all the way up to 90%. So 10% mycelium, 90% grain in that powder. So if you're taking a capsule from one of these brands and it's mycelium on grain, not whole fruiting body extract, you could be getting 90 grain. Very expensive rice in that capsule. And I don't have to tell you what a waste of money that could be for you. Never mind what would happen with your health. And we're going to get to that.
Yeah, and from like a clinical standpoint, here's why that matters. So the compounds with the strongest research profile in functional mushrooms, so the ones that are associated with modulating your immune system, anti-inflammatory activity, adaptogen properties, et cetera, those are beta glucans. Beta glucans are a specific class of polysaccharides that are found in the cell walls of fungi. They are compounds most associated with the health benefits attributed to medicinal mushrooms. The research on beta glucans from fruiting body mushrooms spans thousands of published studies over many decades. You can find them on PubMed yourself. Grain starch, composed primarily of alpha glucans. These are a different class of polysaccharides. Alpha glucans and beta glucans are not biologically equivalent. They do not have the same research profile and they do not behave the same way in the body.
Yep, absolutely. So when a label says polysaccharides 30%, and you know that that product has grain in it, that means that a meaningful portion of those polysaccharides may be alpha glucans, not beta glucans. They're coming from the grain not from mushroom or fungal mushroom mycelium.
And the confusing part is that the label doesn't tell you that. Sometimes it will just say polysaccharides.
Yeah, so misleading, and it's not an accident, and that's what I was taking, right? I was getting alpha glucans, I was getting grain starch, and I was probably getting some fungal material, yes, but nowhere near the therapeutic amount of hericinones or beta glucans that I needed to feel anything at all, to make physiological change in my body, which is exactly why I felt nothing in the beginning.
So, why is this situation so widespread? Why does category 3, the mycelium on grain mushroom products, dominate the mushroom market? Primarily, it is economics.
Yeah.
Mycelium on grain is significantly cheaper and it's faster to produce than fruiting body extracts. Fruiting bodies require the full biological life cycle of the mushroom, specific growing conditions, specific substrates. For us, it is wood, a longer timeline. It's more labor intensive. It costs more. Mycelium on grain can be produced in a fraction of the time at a fraction of the cost. And because labeling standards in the supplement industry do not consistently require brands to specify whether their product comes from the fruiting body or the mycelium, that's a big thing in the mushroom industry, let
Mhm.
alone whether the mycelium was grown on grain, a company could put lion's mane mushroom on the front of the bottle and sell a mycelium on grain product without violating any rules.
For now, but
For
my
now.
hope is that we are living in a world that there will be cases presented to the FDA, to Health Canada, and there have been already, to ask them to change their regulations, to ask companies to have to provide COAs showing what's actually in the product. And then you have to name the part of the mushroom, right? Mushrooms are amazing and all parts of the mushroom are amazing. But let's just tell people what's actually in there. So there's this gap that it's just existed for years. And it's the gap that allows these products to sit on shelves next to genuinely effective products with no visible way for the average person to tell the difference. And it's not okay.
And here's what makes it even more complicated because companies that sell mycelium on grain products will point to research to justify them.
Yeah.
And there are published studies of mycelium on grain products. They do exist, but let's be honest about that. We're not going to tell you the research doesn't exist because it does.
Yeah. And what we're saying is worth thinking carefully about is who funded those studies? What exactly was tested? And does a study on one specific proprietary product made by one specific manufacturer, the one paying for the research, using one specific process tell you something about every mycelium on grain product across the market? Because mycelium on grain products are not uniform, right? They vary significantly depending on, like I said, which grain is used, the strain of mycelium, the manufacturing process, the ratio of fungal material to grain starch that is the result of that process. And we saw that firsthand. We worked with a mycologist early on at the beginning of Eversio to experiment with different species and strains and things. And we saw there, every one of them is so different. And dependent on growing conditions, my gosh, just way too much variety to have consistency, to have that standardization that Health Canada is looking for in order for us to put on our labels what are able to. So there is a study on one of these products out there, and a study on one of these products does not automatically apply to all of them, is what we want to remember. Most of the research you're seeing is on fruiting bodies or pure mycelium.
Yeah, and it's important to keep your eyes open because in the supplement industry, like broadly stated, research funded by the company selling the product being studied is common, but
Mhm.
that doesn't automatically make so it doesn't automatically make the research false, but it is a reason to read carefully because that's bias. You
Yeah.
need to look for independent corroboration and to look at what the full compound profile of the tested product actually was.
Mhm.
Because the most robust, most replicated, most independently verified body of science in the functional mushroom space is built on fruiting body extracts. Thousands of studies,
Yeah.
decades of work, multiple countries, multiple research institutions, peer reviewed publications in well regarded journals.
Yeah, that is the foundation that we stand on, right? That's the foundation that we want you out there to be able to access. All right.
Mhm.
So here's your practical checklist for you. So these are the questions to ask every time you pick up a mushroom supplement, whether it's ours or wherever you are in the world. Number one, does the label say the words fruiting body, not mushroom powder? not mushroom complex, not full spectrum mushroom, fruiting body, explicitly, full stop. If it doesn't say it, then you have to ask. You can email the company. I mean, I would just put it down right there. But if you really want to believe in that product, you can send an email to the company. You can check their website. And if they can't tell you clearly and quickly that their product uses whole fruiting bodies, that's your answer. It's a no. Hey everyone, I just want to pause for a second here and talk to you about something because it's directly related to what we've been getting into today. So a few years ago, I started losing words mid-sentence. Not in a scary, diagnosable way, just that the word would be there and then it wouldn't. And I'd be in conversation and I'd feel the gap where my thinking used to be seamless. And I chalked it up to stress, to being busy, to getting older. I was wrong. What I was experiencing was a brain that wasn't being supported. And when I found lion's mane and understood what it actually does, not in a vague wellness way, but at the level of neuroscience, everything changed.
Lion's mane is one of the most researched functional mushrooms in existence, and it contains bioactive compounds like hericenones that stimulate nerve growth factor production. That is your brain actively building and repairing neural pathways. There is nothing else in the natural world that does this quite so directly. Our lion's mane capsules deliver 4,000 milligrams quantity crude equivalent per capsule, an 8-to-1 dual extract made from 100% whole fruiting body. That is a therapeutic dose, the dose the research actually used to get the results being claimed. Not a token amount so the ingredient can appear on the label, a real dose that puts you in the range where the science says things happen.
Yeah, 2 capsules in the morning. That's it. It's not a complicated protocol. It's not 6 pills before breakfast. And the shift is not dramatic. It's not a buzz or a jolt. It's more like you notice that you stopped losing the thread, that the afternoon is sharper than it used to be, that you're back to finding the word. So if you've been wondering whether something is off with your cognitive function and you've been quietly writing it off as stress or age or just the price of doing too much, well, I want you to hear this. It is not inevitable, and lion's mane is the place I would start.
Head over to EversioWellness.com and use code PODCAST15 at checkout. It'll save you 15% on your order, and it's for our whole community. Any order, anytime.
Your brain built everything you are proud of, and it deserves to be supported. Number 2 is beta-glucan content listed specifically, like not just polysaccharides, which contain beta-glucans, but actual beta-glucans. So quality fruiting body products from transparent producers will list beta-glucan percentages because they can verify them independently. MOG products often cannot clearly separate the alpha glucans from the beta glucans in their powders. So they list total polysaccharides instead because it's the easy out, right? And that distinction really matters, so ask for it. And number 3, is there an extraction method listed? So we want not mushroom powders, but we want powdered mushroom extracts or mushroom extract in a capsule. And the 2 main methods are hot water extraction, which captures all of those water-soluble compounds like the beta-glucans, and then alcohol extraction, which will capture compounds that are not water-soluble, like the triterpenes we love to talk about in our dual extract products. So a product that lists no extraction method may be a minimally processed raw powder rather than a concentrated extract. And that has real implications in our body for the potency and the absorption after the fact.
Yeah. So number 4, is there a certificate of analysis from a third-party lab? A COA from an independent lab, so not from the company itself, a lab that's independent from them, verifies that what the label claims is actually in the product, all the levels stated. Any brand that stands behind its product should be able to hand you a COA without hesitation. If they cannot or they won't, there's a flag up that tells you something important about the level of accountability that they hold themselves to. Number 5, watch for phrases that obscure information. The term mushroom complex can mean almost anything. Proprietary blend hides individual ingredient amounts. Full spectrum sounds comprehensive and sexy, but says nothing about source material. These terms don't automatically mean that a product is bad, but they are prompts to dig deeper rather than to just trust and move on.
Yeah. And I will add a sixth, if that's okay. Think about the dose, right? Research on functional mushrooms that produces meaningful clinical results, which is all I was reading back in the day, typically uses doses in the range from at the low end, 500 milligrams to several grams, like 3,000 milligrams, which would be 3 grams of extract per day. So if a product contains 50 milligrams of something, and this is so many, Lori and I in the office yesterday, we were reading a new product on the market that is like claims all these incredible brain health benefits, and you flip it over, it literally has 50 milligrams of lion's mane powder, not even extract in it. 50 milligrams of something in a blend with a dozen other ingredients, right? The math on getting a therapeutic dose in that case, it just doesn't work. The math does not work. We have to look at, although math can be scary, we have to go to the mushroom math, which is why we recorded a whole episode on it. Dr. Desiree and I got super nerdy. So if you're interested in that math piece, go back and find the mushroom math episode. Look at what you're actually getting per serving, and that episode can help you to do your own math.
And I'm going to add a seventh because I know you
Okay.
like sevens.
Okay.
And that's USDA organic certified.
Yes.
Because there's so
Yes.
much greenwashing about this and that organic. So here's what you do. You type in USDA integrity database.
Yeah.
And you type in the company. If
Yeah.
they're not in there, they're not USDA organic certified. If it has the green USDA organic certified label, that means that they are organic and they paid to have that. And they
Yeah.
are certified. If it's the black USDA organic label, that's not the official label.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so keep that in mind.
Okay, I'm going to say
So-
one more.
Okay, number 8.
Let's go to 8. We're just going to be here all day.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of this product now, and I just want to say something else because of the person who brought this product to our attention because they loved it. Like, wow, there's this new product. And the words, there's this new mushroom product, and I just love it. And I was like, yay, show it to us. So when we looked at the label of this product, which this product came in a very interesting delivery method, I won't say because we will give it all away, but it's not in a capsule and it's not just in a powder, but it was a really fun way to take your mushrooms. This product made this person feel something for sure. And I know why, because it contained caffeine and it contained L-theanine and it contained B vitamins. There were other things in this product making the person feel something. Caffeine makes you feel something. I'm drinking my matcha right now. It has caffeine and L-theanine. I drink it because I enjoy that. This product contained so many other things and then 50 milligrams of lion's mane. And this person is taking it and experiencing something and then saying out loud, it's the lion's mane, it's the mushroom product making me feel it. You're not feeling the mushrooms. You're not feeling. Repeat after me. I'm not feeling 50 milligrams of lion's mane. It's not a thing. There's no science behind that. Gets me fired up. So if you want to take mushrooms, it's probably because you understand something about mushroom intelligence, something about how we are all connected and mushrooms are part of that. And what is in them is similar to what is in us. And that's why their bodies, fruiting bodies, and our bodies speak to each other so beautifully. But when we start to convolute the mushrooms with other things, okay, I understand it's great marketing and there's a reason for it and there's an industry for adding mushrooms to all the things. And I'm excited that people are talking about it, but it's misleading for people to think that they're feeling the mushroom when you have things like caffeine in a product. And you will never find that from us, just mushrooms.
The thing is, none of this requires someone to become a full-time supplement researcher.
Right.
Once you know these 7 or 8 things, evaluating a product takes about 90 seconds or less. And once you know them, you'll never look at a mushroom supplement label the same way again.
Yeah, which is what this whole episode is about. It's the whole point of today.
Okay, so where does Eversio sit in all of this? We are a fruiting body only mushroom company. Every product we make comes from the actual mushroom, not from the mycelium, and definitely not from a grain matrix. The decision was made at the very beginning, and it hasn't changed. It's not a trendy decision or a marketing choice. It's a scientific and ethical one rooted in where the research lives.
Yeah, we dual extract the mushrooms that we offer that need it because there could be medicine left behind. So we dual extract our lion's mane because we want hericenones. We dual extract our reishi because we want the ganoderic acids, the triterpenoids. We dual extract our chaga. And the other mushrooms that aren't dual extracted, it's because the medicine that we want to be elevated in there is available through hot water extraction. So hot water extraction pulls out water-soluble compounds, the beta-glucans and some other things. Alcohol extraction captures the compounds that we can't access alone with just water. So, and I just think about reishi. Those triterpenes in reishi are responsible for a significant part of its adaptogenic properties. So, using both methods means that the full compound profile of the fruiting body makes it into that capsule when we need it to be there, right? It's not just part of it. We're getting all of what the research says is needed to be in line with those benefits that the research reports.
Yeah. And I would say our line's main product is one that we both feel very strongly about. It is a dual extracted fruiting body that contains haricinones.
Yeah.
The fruiting body compounds with the most established research for cognitive support, neuroprotection, and nerve growth factor stimulation. So
Yeah.
when you do take it, you are getting what the lion's main research is actually built on. And if you're curious about that and curious about this study that really pointed Brandi towards fruiting body extracts, go listen to episode 2, where we talk about brain health.
Way back.
Way back, because Brandi shares the exact story when she flipped over that label and she saw,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, the dose that I'm taking is not even close to equivalent to what they're examining in the research for these women.
Yeah.
So I do want to be clear about one thing too, because this episode has raised the question of erinacines versus haricinones, and we get that often. Erinacines are found in the mycelium, the root structure, not in the fruiting body, and they are interesting compounds with real research behind them. Our products don't contain erinacines because we use the fruiting body only, because that's important to us. But what our products do contain are the haricinones. So it's that fruiting body side of the same biological story, 2 different parts of the same organism, 2 different sets of compounds, both doing interesting things in the brain through different mechanisms.
Yeah. And we chose the fruiting body because of where the broadest, the deepest, the most independently verified body of research sits, right? We have to go with science. And we know mushrooms are science in progress. So it's always changing. And I hope one day we are going to see tons of pure mycelium product on the market too. It's coming. It's coming. And when it's good enough, when it's been around long enough that we have good evidence and good clinical trials, Eversio will be on that train. But we're just not quite here yet. So it was a deliberate choice for us, and we stand behind it to this day. Fruiting body only extracts, organic certified, therapeutic doses. It's so simple to me.
Yeah. The third-party testing, right?
Yes.
That's our COO. She does a ton of testing all day, every day for a lot of things. Every product in our line has a certificate of analysis available from an independent lab. You can ask us for it and we will send it. Because if we're asking you to put something in your body every day, or if you're going to take it, you deserve to know exactly what's in it.
Yeah. And that's the standard we hold ourselves to. So it's the standard that we think everyone in this space should be held to. I'll say it again. We want to inspire every one of you in this space to be held to that. We talk a lot about there being a mushroom for every moment, right? That's our tagline. It's cute, a mushroom for every moment. But we really genuinely mean that. We believe in what these fungi do, this kingdom fungi does for us. We've seen what happens when people take the right product, right? And when it's made with integrity and they are consistent, and this happens over time, it works. And that's what we want for you, which means that you deserve to know what you're actually taking. So, my fungi friends, if you are ready to try mushrooms that are actually mushrooms, that fruiting body only, a dual extracted one, maybe you want that third party testing, then you can go to eversiowellness.com. You can use code podcast15 at checkout anytime. It's all one word, and that's going to save you 15% on your whole order so that you can try it out for yourself. That's how you're going to know. There's lion's mane for cognitive support and focus, reishi for stress and sleep. I love chaga for its antioxidant, anti-inflammatory support, amazing for my skin. Turkey tail for immune health, for gut health. And then our 3 blends designed for really specific moments across the day. And every single product has a CO that you can actually access. They're right there on the website. Every formula is built on fruiting body extracts. And if you have any questions about any of it, just reach out to us. We genuinely love hearing from you, and we will give you real answers from a real person. We love AI, but AI is not going to answer you.
Yeah. And if you're somebody who's thought, mushrooms just don't work for me, it's probably because you're trying a form of functional mushroom products that aren't fruiting body extracts, that don't have a therapeutic dose. You might be taking mycelium on grain. You might not be taking it for long enough or consistently enough. So if that's the case, check back in with those 8 things to see and trial it. Thanks so much for being here, friends. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you might have to kick the gummies to the curb. I like them too. They're fun, but just buy candy at the store.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be part of your supplement routine.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for being here, fungi friends. And thank you for caring about what goes into your body, just like we do. It takes something to show up for your own health the way that you do, and we don't take that lightly.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time, fungi friends. Take really good care of yourself.
Be well. And that's a wrap on today's unhinged episode of the Eversio experience. These conversations sit close to our hearts. Stepping outside the structure and just being honest with you about what we're navigating, what we're learning, what we've gotten wrong, and what we're still figuring out. That's the kind of connection we started this podcast to create.
Yes. And we hope something in today's episode landed for you. And if it did, we hope that you will share it with someone in your life who will get it. That's genuinely how this community continues to grow. One person passing something meaningful on to another. And if you haven't yet left us a rating or review, subscribe to the podcast, or followed us on social media, we would so appreciate that. All of the links are right here in the show notes below. And that just helps us reach more people who need to hear this. And when you're ready to bring functional mushrooms into your daily ritual, you can head on over to eversiowellness.com and use podcast 15 at checkout. And that code will save you 15% on your order. And it's for our whole community, any order, anytime.
Thank you so much for sharing this moment with us, fungi friends. Until next time, be well.